phase. What third.
Buckle up, everybody. It's on. Let me ask you, do you believe in the CE5 contact? Is it possible? Well, in this special episode, we're going to be speaking with Rob Freeman, including Peter Maxwell Slattery, in regards to their connection with CE5. We go to the Gilliland Ranch and get James Gilliland's response in regards to his encounters over there at the Gilliland Ranch. What do you guys think? Is there something? Is there a connection? We also have on the ground at the Gilliland Ranch Paula Asteria and UFO Proof, who's done some investigative reports that we're going to be sharing with you later in the week. Incredible insight from Gilliland himself and encounters from Mount Shasta. What the heck is going on over there? Enjoy this full-length episode and leave me your thoughts. Do you believe in the CE5 protocol?
In the woods.
They definitely thought a lot of what you captured.
Well, you did a good job investigating, Dave.
Third Phase Moon Blake Cousins, we are with Rob Freeman. He specializes in atmospheric anomalies in regards to UFOs, CE5 contact with these interdimensional beings. What are they? What's going on? We have incredible videos that we're going to be sharing throughout this interview with Rob Freeman. They've been capturing things that are unexplained. And right now, we've got Rob on the show. Welcome.
Hey, Blake. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. Well, let's just get straight to it. There's some of these incredible videos, and I want to get to this one where it looks like a massive orb. What were you guys doing out there at night? It looks like this orb basically banks behind the trees, doesn't make a sound whatsoever. Any idea what this possibly could be? What were you guys doing out there?
Yeah, we had been invited to go see Charles Lamoureux. Charles Lamoureux films a lot of orbs. He's got a channel out in Vancouver, BC, Canada. We got invited out to see him. On the first night, we set our stuff up in one of the parks in Vancouver, and we caught a few little things in the thermal vision and, kind of your garden variety stuff, right? And, some flashes in the sky and so on. And I think the second night we were at a different place. And then the third night it was going to be raining in Vancouver. And we said, well, where should we go? And he said, why don't you go up the coast to Britannia Beach? There's an old mine up there. Maybe there will be some strange things around the mine. Sometimes there is, as you know. So we actually drove up there, and he decided that he would stay back. He said, I'm going to veg out. It's going to be raining, and, I'm not going to go up there. So we went on our own. It was Marcus, Mark McNabb, Liz Rodriguez, and myself. And also Breslin Martin was there. And we went up to Britannia Beach, and we went to where the mine was, and we didn't have a good feeling about it. We stopped into the local gift shop, talked to the ladies there, and we kind of said quietly, do you ever see anything around here? And then they said, what do you mean? Well, lights in the sky, anything odd? And they said, not here, but if you go about 10 minutes north to Squamish, they see orbs all the time. And we said, what do you mean? Well, they said there's the Squamish Chief. It's that big monolith stone that you see in the video. And they said orbs have been seen above that on several occasions. She said if you go there and find a spot and just park for a number of hours, there's a good chance you'll see something. So we drove up there. The rain was kind of starting to thin out a bit, and we thought maybe we'll get lucky, it will clear. And we set up the camera. We found a spot. We went around the roads and found a spot. That is a town called Squamish, BC. It's a tourist town on the way up to Whistler, BC. We did find a spot sort of in a logging road where there's a clearing, and we had a great view of the Squamish Rock of the Chief. And as you can see, there was a view also of the continuation of the mountain with the trees and so on. We really had a strong feeling we were going to see something. And this is something that comes. We've been doing this for 4 years now, this CE5 stuff, and you do get a good sense. And it's not right all the time, but I'd say a good 90% of the time. If we get that strong of a sense, then we definitely see something out of the ordinary. Anyway, we were set up, and as you can see in the movie, in the clip, Marcus and Liz were set up, drive-in theater style in the back of the truck. Breslin was over on the rocks doing a meditation. I was setting on my cameras. I set up time lapse and so on. And it's one of these things where you do got to spend a lot of time, Blake, and be patient. People that think they can just go out and look up in the sky and see something, maybe some can, but most, you're going to have to spend the time. And, and do things like get yourself relaxed, do some CE5 protocols, whatever. Anyway, we were filming, and I had turned my cameras off to change batteries and so on. And I had turned my cameras back on, but not recording at this point, because we were kind of standing around talking, and it was around, I believe, in 10:59, I have to check, p.m. And Breslin, I was just talking to Mark, and I was about, 2 feet from the WMD, weapon of mass detection or debunction. And Breslin pointed over, and she said, "What's that?" And I look over, and I see this silent light moving. My first instinct was to look in the night vision on the screen and move the tripod, move the rack of cameras so that it was square in the night vision. And the rate of speed that I saw it moving, I was having to move the tripod, and my split-second thinking said, are you going to chance turning on all the other cameras, or just shut up and film what you got in your night vision right here? And I opted to just stay with the screen and film it with the night vision. And it only lasted 10 seconds, as you can see, and I'm so glad I did. Many people have criticized me for, having all that equipment, like it's over $100,000 worth of equipment.
Yeah, sure. This video itself made the top MUFON sighting, I think, in 2017. People were fascinated by it, and I'm sure everybody was on the ground excited. We could hear the people on the ground just amazed by what you captured.
I got it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
What the hell?
it's in the woods.
Good job on the 10-second fast response to capture whatever it was. Now, let's get to this one, because this one really is strange to me. You guys are out in Cloverfield. Out in the fields, there's some kind of orb beaming, and you have your friend actually run out there and try and make contact. I mean physical contact. This must have been a hair-raising experience for you guys to see this orb so close to your friend.
Yeah, so Dan is moving his way out. It's right in front of you, Dan. It's about 30 feet. Oh, now it's moved to the right. It's moved to the right on the right side of the electrical pole. Saw it on the ground, about closer towards us, towards the pole, about 5 to 6 feet.
I saw a flash
Where?
behind me, and I hear something.
Hold your right arm out so I know which way you're facing. Thank you. He heard something. Yeah, he said he heard something.
I hear like gas
Gas.
through the ground.
So he thinks he hears gas pumping through the ground.
Yeah, let me give you some background on the Cloverdale Spook lights, or the Cloverdale Earth lights, they call them. There's a fellow by the name of Wyatt Cox who lived there and who has been studying them for 40 years. He wrote a book on it. You can buy it on Amazon. It's the Cloverdale Spook lights, I believe, Wyatt Cox. And there's another fellow involved, Rich Hoffman, from the Scientific Coalition of Ufology. And he's got a group of scientists that study UFOs. Well, he was there with us that weekend. So was Wyatt. And there were several other guys. There was Dan Erickson. There was Mark McNabb and Liz Rodriguez from our group. There was Alan Saulnier, a friend of mine that I brought down with me. We were all there. And the story on these lights are, it's probably, I'm going to say 95% a natural phenomenon. There's something in the geophysical arrangement there, the tectonic plates, the sulfur in the ground, the magnetic lines of field. It kind of lines up into a perfect storm, very similar to the Hestelin lights. And by the way, we've been there 3 times and spent a lot of time with Erling Strand, the scientist, as well. But anyway, we were looking for the typical lights that occur in Cloverdale. And they're usually about an 8 to 10 foot orb. And Blake, if you're ever in the mainland states, you should go down there and spend time. I mean, you will get film of it. And if you do spend the time, and it's really a fascinating thing. But the typical orbs go from the east They come up into the sky and they go from the east to the west at about 20 miles an hour. And they'll come back too, but when they come back, they're kind of dissipating, they're broken up. And they can get more orange. So they're kind of yellowy orange. They'll get orbs that are more orange, you get some red orbs, and they've even had blue ones. And the blue ones go faster. The yellow ones are they're typically about 20 miles an hour. And then the blue ones, I'm not sure, but they go faster. This particular road, many people, they stopped in and saw us. We were there for a whole week. They stopped in and saw us. We talked to them. We did interviews with people who has seen these orbs. There's stories of orbs sitting on a person's front yard, then rising up and moving. Many people say, is there an ET component to it? Possible, because there's other stories. Wyatt was telling a story that for a while, every night at 9:08 exactly, they would see an orb appear. First of all, how is that, right? At 9:08. But it could be something to do with the 24-hour day, the cycle of the Earth, whatever. So I could accept that maybe that's a natural phenomenon. But, in the fall, when the time changes by an hour, the orb showed up at 9:08 under the new time. So this is a true story. There's a railway track not too far from this location, and him and his partner Greg, that have been studying these for years, they saw a big ball, a sphere, hovering near the railway track. And they said, let's wait and see what happens when the train comes. When the train came, and as the locomotive got close to the orb coupled with the train engine and moved down the track until it was out of sight from their view. So would you say it's ET, or, the scientists would be more likely to say that it's that there's a magnetic effect to the iron and steel, the massive amount of steel in the locomotive, and the fact that it was near the track to start with. You got a long parallel set of steel lines. So is it ET? Don't know. There's scientific people that are studying this phenomenon. We've gotten quite involved with them. I've got tons of footage. The week we were there, I've got 8 cameras, 2 are time-lapse, the other 6 are video, and each one is on for literally 8 hours. So I've got 6 times 8 hours, 48 hours of video every single night. And, we just got back last Monday, and I'm still going through all the footage. It'll probably take me a few weeks.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this, because we're looking at the video. It seems like this orb is not a random and natural thing, in my opinion. This orb seems like it's playing with the person out there in the field, kind of playing sneak. So,
I gave you some background specifically getting into this particular incident. It was raining that night, and we were set up in Larry Peden's garage. He allowed us to be on his property for the week, and we were out more on the front lawn right by the road. But this particular night it was raining, so we set up in the carport, and Alan said, and we had seen something the night before. We had seen like a white half orb out in the field. Didn't get video of it because my cameras were facing in the wrong direction. By the time I ran over, it was gone. But Alan said, because of what we saw last night, he's going to take the car and go over to the road and sit there and see what he can see. So I was out in the carport further back. He was out on the road, and he saw a light. And in the beginning of the video, you hear me describing where we are, and I'm just showing around. And then I cut in his video. Now, he filmed 24 minutes of video, but I just took the highlights and pieced them all together. Now, it's really odd, Blake, because is it live or Memorex? We're completely analyzing this thing, because on one section of the video you see Mark McNabb, our producer, walk in front of Alan, and the orb seems to be between him and Mark. So, but why is it that when Alan turns the camera around, the orb is in the same spot in the field, and if there's shaking of the orb, it all goes with the field. It doesn't go with the camera. So we're really kind of scratching our head on this one, and there's a lot of research to be done before there's any kind of conclusive results. So is it some kind of a reflection in the lens of the night vision? But then why is it moving completely in sync with the back, like what you're filming out in the field, like the telephone pole, Dan out in the field? Or is it some kind of a phenomenon where, the light passes right through somebody? So it's really, really, really odd. And I don't know if you're on my channel, but that's the video down where you see the tree flash. Did you see that one?
Yeah, we see a video that you took and did some enhancements, and you see some kind of reflection of light on the tree and the clouds itself, kind of repeating itself.
Yeah, there's no enhancement there. All that is time lapse, and I've taken 2 frames of a time lapse. So it was time lapse photography with infrared. So it's an infrared filter, and then it's set for black and white. And during the course of the night, during 2 frames, that tree lit up, and in the next frame it's partly lit, in the next frame it's not, and in the previous frame it's not. So literally, probably it overlaps 2 30-second time exposures. So it's probably, I'm going to say maybe a 20-second event where the tree lights up. Now, the far trees light up, the sky lights up over on the right-hand side, and the trees in front of that house light up. And it's very brilliant, and we've now got the scientists over at the SCU. We're actually mocking up a full 3D Google Earth thing to try to pinpoint, was there a light source externally? Because these orbs literally can blink on, they can go off, and they can travel along that road and go out. So we don't know if this is a case that an orb went by that tree and lit up, or there was an orb out in the field, potentially, by that electrical pole that you see in the other video. We don't know. On stuff like this, you've got to kind of study it. I've got many other videos where there's other views and stuff, so we're going through all of that. It's just fresh. Like this, as you can see, the dates are just recent. So, is it ET? Don't know. But it's more likely a natural phenomenon. Like, I'm going to say, 95%, but cannot rule out the ET thing.
Well, you know what, Rob? We've been sharing your videos, and I see that your channel has some videos up there, and we want to have our audience check out your channel. Can you tell our audience where to find you, Rob, your research into these atmospheric anomalies and everything else about your program?
Sure. My personal channel is just YouTube, and then Rob Freeman, Atmospheric Anomalies. It's a long one when you type it out, but it should come up. We're also involved in a project, a documentary. The documentary is already produced. We actually screened it at the Star Wars Symposium that Paula Harris puts on in November every year. We just screened it. That's in Laughlin, Nevada. We've been traveling the world for 4 years. We've been to 11 countries and over 30 cities. We've probably interviewed a couple hundred people. We've produced a documentary. We're producing several more. Everything from, on the Hesterland Lights to all our CE5 experiences. It's called Making Contact, Be Inspired. And the website for that is mcbiproject.com. So Making Contact, Be Inspired. So it's just mcbiproject.com. We also have mcbiexpeditions.com. So we've been traveling the world. Some of the expeditions we put on, we invite people to come along. Some are more private. We've been on expeditions with the famous Sixto Paz Wells. We've been on Easter Island with him for a week, and we caught many things there. I've got some of them, I believe, on my channel there. We're going to be going on an expedition to Peru with Ricardo Gonzalez and Paola Harris. We're going on an expedition with Costa Macrias from ET Let's Talk. Let me take a look at some of the other places. We've been to Mount Adams with James Gilliland and so on, and we've got some neat video there of the orbs in the top of the mountain. But we're going around the world. the goal is to make contact. We've already had various levels of contact, from, strange things in the sky to even a possible interaction with an ET being on this Earth. I had an interesting thing that happened in Australia. We don't know for sure, but, you hear stories of people, meeting possible ETs and how they don't fit in. Like, for example, a fella showing up at a picnic with a suit and tie on. Or, certain people, they don't seem to fit in. You ask them questions and they're not with it. I compare it to be like maybe in the, World War II, United States might hire somebody who's of German descent, who's lived in the United States for 30 years, train them, send them to Germany to be a spy. But if somebody spent too much time with that person, they would figure out that they're not from there.
So what you're actually saying that there's a possible spy, some infiltration into the group, possibly MIB, may I say?
Well, not into our group. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is we were on a Skywatch, Lauren Kurth from Australia and myself, and we were not far from Ayers Rock. And we had a fellow, we were 1 o'clock in the morning off the highway out of sight. And it was strange because about 1 o'clock in the morning, a car pulls up right into that spot. And this is hundreds and hundreds of miles of nothing, just scrub and a straight highway, right? And this fellow pulls off the highway and literally comes right to where we were. And I thought that was odd. I thought of all the places you could pull off, first of all, how is it he came right to us? Lauren was nervous, and she was nervous about all my equipment, and I said, I'm going to go over and talk to this guy. And, I had my laser in my back pocket. That wouldn't be any match if he had a gun or a knife, but still, I had my laser in my back pocket, and if I had to use it. If you live in the States, you have guns, right? But anyway, this guy, he got out of his car, and he was friendly, but he was really tall. I'd say about, 6'8". And you often hear about these beings being so tall and Nordic looking and stuff. He was a handsome guy. He told us, but everything he said, I wouldn't say it was a monotone voice, but it was more almost pre-practiced or rehearsed, or he didn't fit in, is what I'm saying, Blake. He was saying that he had driven from a mine 18 hours north and he was going home. And he was driving nonstop. And for somebody who had just come from a mine 18 hours before, his shirt looked like it was pressed or just taken off the shelves at the clothing store. His clothes were clean. And when we asked him what he was doing there in the spot that we were, he was going to skywatch, he said. So, there was more to it than that. He could sense that Lauren was uncomfortable. I wasn't. I had the feeling that this guy was an ET. I really did. But Lauren was nervous that maybe he was going to steal our stuff or whatever. So she was giving hints that, we'd kind of like our privacy. And then he politely said, if you'd rather that I go somewhere else, I can do that. But the way he talked, he did have a Australian accent, but the way he talked was not the way a normal person would talk. Like you and I are carrying on with inflections in our voice and different things. It wasn't like that. So he left, and then we stayed through skywatching right through till when it became light. And then we were on our way back to the hotel resort. And I was, we're down the highway 30 minutes, and I've got my indicator to turn left. And Lauren says to me, did you see that car that just went by? So literally the car going by back to where we were. And I said, no, I wasn't paying attention. She said, that was our guy from last night. And I said, what do you mean? She said, that was him. And I thought, if he was going home, where did he stay overnight? And why is he going back in the direction he came from? That seemed really odd. So I turned the car around immediately, and by the time I got it turned around, and this is a straight road that you can see like literally 10 miles down the road, I didn't see him. We drove all the way back to our site, and I was, driving at a pretty high rate of speed. I won't say the number, but we never caught up to him. So, was that guy an ET? I'm sure you've read lots of stories, interviewed lots of people about all these kinds of things, Blake, but was he an ET? I don't know. If I had to put the chances of him being an ET, I would say it was 90%.
I thought it was hikers at first, but then because there's a steady stream, you can see them moving up that field at the top there. But yet, when you look on the thermal, there are no heat signatures from any bodies, any people, right?
The UFO phenomenon at Mount Adams continues, and we have our friend Rob Freeman from Atmospheric Anomalies is sharing some incredible footage from the James Gilliland ECETI Ranch. Take a look. Watch this.
Came flying across the ground, and it went down, it landed right there, and it went down in the ground. Like 99% of the crap that flies over this place we don't get. This is unbelievable.
Yeah. Take a look through and adjust this for your own eye. This is the diopter, so look through and move that until it's very clear. The numbers are very clear. Yeah, look at the viewfinder. Okay, the numbers,
clear.
Are they clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on play here. Okay, and I want you to
look through the viewfinder.
Yeah, it starts at 1021, and press the right-hand side of this wheel. Just hold it down.
Okay.
And look through, and just let it scan all the way through, right through to 333.
Hold it down?
Yeah. Hold it down. Is it going through?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll see the time on the bottom. Now, look up at the top of the mountain where the white lights are. But when you get near the end, you're going to see them moving. When you get around...
oh, yeah.
At one point I moved the telescope so you'd see it jump, but...
Oh, wow.
And look at
That's
how,
moving all over the place.
I know, and look at how it moves in a stream, though.
Yeah.
As if it's hikers.
What? What the heck?
I know.
How far do I go?
Just keep going until it goes around to 10:30 again in the morning, in the night.
What's that? 11:20.
Oh, keep going. There's lots more.
Okay.
Right till 3:30 at night. 3:30.
Okay, so what is that? Time lapse?
Yeah, they're 1 minute exposures.
Okay, there's that one again. That's coming out of the same spot again. Kind of. It's what? It's doing the same thing.
So there's intelligence there. Now,
okay.
At first I thought, oh, it's hikers.
Yeah.
Damn hikers messing us up.
Yeah.
But I looked through the footage on the thermal. Now the thermal, I can focus on that field up there so that it literally fills the screen here. There's not a single thing moving. The lights are cold. They're not warm. They do not show up in thermal. But more importantly, if they were hikers, you would see black for the faces. You'd see a gray body.
Yeah.
And you'd see movement, especially when you fast forward. Nothing.
Nothing
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. And then I thought, okay, maybe it's a Hesselin light phenomena, right?
Yeah.
Like what we see in Norway. But there's intelligence there. You see them moving in a steady stream. So that's not the Hesselin lights.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hesselin
Exactly.
lights is more random, right?
Yeah.
And it's a natural phenomenon. So there's intelligence involved, and it's cold light. And I was in there with 6 times zoom plus 2 times digital. So literally that one field up there where they were, you saw in the time lapse, I have that literally filling my screen.
Yeah.
And so if something was there, I would see it.
Yeah. So you've got like $150,000 invested in this, don't you?
This particular one, there's a couple more cameras, and it's about 100. And then there is one more camera that's worth close to 50. So what we got here is, this is thermal, and I'm just showing it here in the screen. And this is this can zoom in also to 4 times, and you can.
Oh, you could see a.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely could see a little mountain goat up
see
there
a
with that.
fly
You could
face
tell.
with that.
Yeah, fly. See the fly on the goat. And what else do you have on there? You have
Yeah, so I've got night vision here. Now this one is 10 times zoom, this one here. And I just use an iPhone to capture the video, and sometimes I'll put a monitor on here as well, or just use the iPhone itself as a monitor. This is also night vision, but more wide angle. And I captured with that one the lights on the mountain last night.
Okay.
This one here is time lapse. So it's a 150 millimeter lens, very bright, so it's like 2.8 f-stop. And last night I did 1 minute exposures, every 1 minute do 1 minute exposures, and they got the whole series of lights. You can see them moving, and I was showing you earlier, and it's pretty impressive.
What's been captured at the base of Mount Adams? Have they made contact, or are these just simply hikers? Well, the whole point is we wanted to share this with you because we think the mystery behind Mount Adams is something to look into. Massive amounts of people have seen anomalies in the skies over there, and they've been filming it for many years. And it's really cool that Rob Freeman brings in his big camera equipment. He just stated there's almost over $150,000 worth of equipment to film UFOs at Mount Adams and around the world. Do you think they captured something amazing, or?
Well, you got to give Rob the effort. Everybody out there, they're looking for it. And James Gilliland, he's been doing this for a long time. I think he recognizes what's UFO and what's not. It's hard to say what these lights are. My personal opinion, I need more proof, but he says that with that signature hot infrared camera, you would see an infrared of heat. So that's interesting. We don't see nothing, but in fact, we do see light. So what is really going on here?
Yeah, I definitely like the research that Rob's doing, and what a great place to do it at James Gilliland's ECETI Ranch, because that's a great place to see it. It's a hot spot for UFO activity, and the investigation continues. And what I like about what Rob's doing is he's doing his investigation. He's finding out whether these are hikers or not, and he's basically found out through his camera work that when he zooms in, he's not seeing any kind of signature of any kind of body heat. This is definitely maybe UFOs, lights in the sky, that's originating from around the mountain. Some people are actually saying these could be spirits. I want to get your thoughts on that. Or is this something extraterrestrial, something otherworldly? We've heard of the Martha Lights, and this kind of comes to mind here.
Yeah, these thermal cameras, they could pick up on heat for miles away. So, hey, Rob's got the equipment, and I would suggest everybody to check out Atmospheric Anomalies. He's got a good channel. He was with Dr. Greer last week, and they got some pretty great stuff too. We might be sharing that in a future episode. We'll get Rob on the line.
Absolutely. Rob's been doing some good work, and obviously, as he states, 95% of UFO activity can be explained, and they're in search of that 5%, that missing 5% of the unexplained. And this basically goes the same way for us right here at Third Phase Moon. We get a lot of UFO videos submitted to us pretty much on a daily basis, and let me tell you, 95% of them can be explained. But when we share UFO videos, we want to share with you the unexplained, the things that we really can't figure out what they are. And through the people like yourselves, we pretty much can find the answer. And sometimes we still can't find what really is going on in some of these videos. And that's a great thing. So we want to thank Rob Freeman from Atmospheric Anomalies. We're going to share the original link below in the description so you can take a look at his channel. And it's good that we made contact because he's allowing us to share these incredible captures and the investigative work on the ground. And it's our pleasure to work with filmmakers out there and researchers to get out the word right here at Third Phase Moon. Everybody, keep your eyes on the skies and let me know what you think of what's going down at Mount Adams. Is it a UFO hotspot? Let me know in the comments. We'll see you again next time. Blake Cousins. Thanks, Brent.
And these things seem to be originating on a south face, and then they go up towards close to where the hikers go, and then do a turn. But it's not where the hikers camp. It's not where any known activity is, and also it's in an area that's wilderness. You're not supposed to have any vehicles or anything else up there. So, what would you say your best evidence is to prove that these aren't hikers?
Yeah, well, when we finished off about 3:45 a.m. last night, and I reviewed the footage, and I saw the lights. At first, I thought they were hikers because you could see them actually moving in the exposures in a controlled way, an intelligent way. And there was 3 or 4 different ones and they were moving. Then I looked at the thermal footage, and that's what totally convinced me, because I can zoom right into the very field that they were in on the mountain there, and there was actually no heat signatures, none at all.
Nothing there.
If they were people, you would at least see black from their face, the heat given off from their face. You would see around their gloves heat.
Yeah.
You would see a gray body, and you would see black areas around their knees where the heat's coming through from their leg. And you would see things moving. And I fast forward it through the footage through the whole evening, and there's not a single thing up there. Nothing. So the light was, I would say, cold light. So the light wasn't showing up in a thermal because this only picks up heat. But more importantly, I was looking for the bodies that the light might be attached to. And there were none.
Nothing there.
I was absolutely blown away. So to me, it's 100% evidence that it is not.
We got Peter Maxwell with us. Thanks for joining us.
G'day, Blake. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Peter, well, let's get to it. I want to ask you straight up. There is a lot of sightings going on around the world. What about Australia? What's the most recent UFO sighting for you?
I'm having sightings all the time, but one of the most recent ones was earlier this year where I filmed a flying saucer. Whoa, that's crazy. Basically, I started to see it come over. And I was with a friend, and luckily enough, I was able to get the camera out, capture it as it went away into the distance. Now that, along with a lot of the evidence that I've been able to obtain over the years, has been analysed by Jason Gleaves, who's ex-UK Air Force and Aerospace. He analysed that footage. And also a lot of the other bits of footage I have, along with Jaime Maussan's group, Terza Millennia, Japanese television and Australian television. So a lot of this has been analysed, but the sightings are continuous.
Well, if you're ever troubled by strange lights in the sky or unexplained moving objects, the truth could be out there. A border man has founded a group aimed at probing the paranormal, and he's here to help.
Well, many of us think UFOs are the stuff of fantasy, but an Australian man claims they are closer to reality than we think. Peter Maxwell Slattery says he's spotted them many times near his Albury home in New South Wales, and now he claims to have the proof. Peter joins us now. Good morning to you. Thanks for coming in.
Peter Maxwell is little porque Peter Maxwell SETI.
Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it. And with ECETI, ECETI stands for Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence. It was founded by James Gilliland, who lives in Trout Lake, Washington State, and we teamed up a few years ago. I've been doing this sort of thing for about 10 years, but we decided to bring me in after I was asked to do it under the umbrella of ECETI. And so here in Australia, we hold public sky watches and workshops. Most of these start in the day, in the afternoon, and go into the night, because most of the footage I'm obtaining is during the daytime. So what we do is we get a group collective consciousness going on, and we ask and invite the beings to come in if they can do so. Sometimes they can't. It's just like calling up a friend. Sometimes they can come, sometimes they can't. We have things happening like crafts landing in apparition form, beings appearing in apparition form, and there is contact happening on a continuous basis, which this has been going on for many years now.
Oh, look at that power up! Yeah! Whoa, that's massive, man! Yeah! Whoa!
Unlike a lot of CE5 groups, I try to keep it basic. We have used EMF meters, Geiger counters, audio recording devices to try and capture anomalous readings or sounds, but mainly I'm using a 4K Panasonic camera for the daytime footage, and at night time I've started using a Psionics Aurora night vision camera, which is actually coloured night vision, and I seem to be getting a lot of activity on that.
Another one coming behind it, there's 3 of them. One shot. Look at this one. Orion's a hot spot.
So Peter, I want to get your true insight on what you think these anomalous objects are. Are they interdimensional? Are they one of ours, some kind of government military experiment, or something otherworldly? What's your thoughts?
Well, from my experience, I know a large majority of what I am interacting with. There is still sometimes I have anomalous events, high strangeness, or I see things that I can't explain if I don't have a dialogue. Because sometimes even when I'm filming the craft, I'm actually on the craft and I can see myself looking down on myself as I'm filming it, if that makes sense. It's almost like this mind meld, this consciousness connection. So I do have interactions with these beings. I know exactly who some of them are. So with saying that, a majority of what I'm filming is otherworldly. It's multi-dimensional technology. Some of them are plasma crafts. Some of these are flying saucers. Some of them are morphing shape, shifting crafts, cigars, triangles, you named it. I've captured it and filmed it with witnesses around the world. So with that said, some of these are beings that live and reside beside us. Some of them are from the inner earth, and some of them are from other places in this dimension, in this solar system and beyond, and some of them are from what I call the star nations. It seems to be a conglomerate of Orions, Sirians, Pleiadians, Lyrans, Arcturians, Andromedans, Crux beings from Pegasus. There's a whole wide host, and then I'm given references for other galaxies as well where they're residing or where they come from, but it's not just in the third dimension. These beings are coming in from different vibrational frequencies or densities, dimensions.
Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it.
So if you've been following what's been going on in the US, Peter, I'm sure you're aware that our own governments are admitting that there are things in the skies that they can't explain. Do you think UFO disclosure is just right around the corner?
We are being drip-fed disclosure right now, and what it comes down to is us, the people, educating each other, which is one of the main things that I want to do with ECETI, besides people experiencing the crafts and the beings themselves. It's about education on a public format, about educating people on the ET reality and the multidimensional reality that we exist in. So we are being drip fed through these types of news stories. It's, you know, even the young kids now, they don't have to be told about disclosure. They know that we're not alone, but it seems that people are looking for that government figure, this authority type figure to say, look, this does exist. And we've got, you know, Project Blue Book that had 700 anomalous cases that were left unsolved out of 10,000 plus. And we're sort of really getting nowhere looking at the old cases, the old stories, but there is this new stuff coming forth. And I believe that this is a slow drip of disclosure. Even with President Trump with the Space Force, from my intel on the insiders and with the extraterrestrials from the information, what's going on is that he found out about the Space Force and he wanted to release it as if he's creating one because it's already in existence. So what they're going to do is release the Space Force, which has already been implemented since the 1950s, and everyone's going to think it's brand new, but it's been around for a long time. So we're going through a drip disclosure method, but it's up to us, the people, and the quicker we can band together and we can work together on this, disclosure is going to be an overnight thing eventually.
You've been doing this for a long time, Peter. What's your involvement for 2019 and into 2020 in regards to bringing more eyes to the subject of the UFO phenomenon happening right now around the world?
This is a full-time thing for me. I'm an international best-selling author. Some of the books have been channeled. I've done numerous documentaries, and so I dedicate my time to doing helping the public understand the ET reality and the spiritual aspect of that, because it's not just nuts and bolts. A very minimal part of this is nuts and bolts, and even the ET part of it is a very minimal thing, because a lot of what we're interacting with, surpassing the ETs, is beings that come from what I call the geometric light realm. So they come from a completely different place that resides in source or universal consciousness, And understanding that, you can understand how we're all one consciousness interacting with itself. So I do go in depth very much so with the information that I've been given. I do readings or guide sessions helping people be able to have contact themselves in whatever format that they want. And so there's been a lot of opposing forces. I've been blacklisted at a lot of places. I've had, I always get black helicopters flying over, government involvement with surveillance, these types of things. I've filmed extraterrestrials and taken photos of them. I've got metal samples, landing circle where the soil samples have been tested and analysed for anomalous activity or results in them as well. So what's going on here is sort of being shut out from the rest of the world, which is why I appreciate you having me on your show. But this is trying to cover all aspects in educating the public. And so this is part of why I'm here, and this is what I do.
Do you think some of the sightings that you're capturing over the skies are in relation to the new 6th military branch of the United States, the Space Force?
Look, we have Pine Gap since 1966, which is near the middle of Australia. It's a joint space defence facility with the USA, so it's Australia and America working together. Now, some of these objects worldwide, and I'm sure I've seen a few of them, because usually I get a feeling where there's like robotic interaction with them, meaning there's nothing sort of there, you can tell it's a robot type of device. And there are drones, even with filming stuff, I've filmed balloons, drones, aircraft as reference points for what I'm filming that are anomalous. So we've got a difference there, but there are these objects around the world being seen that can and could be part of the Space Force. But with that said, I believe a large majority of it is not seen in cities where it's largely populated areas. I have been warned that when we start to come to closer for a public format of disclosure, there will be the truth wrapped in a lie, is how it's been explained. So some of this will be secret operations revealing some of these crafts, or they'll release the triangle craft and say that it's ours, which some of them are. Some of them are an Andromedan craft and from other races as well. So there is that aspect that some of what we are seeing is government, is secret projects, is ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles as well. So it's not just a black or white answer on all this, that the shade of grey in the middle is huge and vast.
So I see you're using the techniques of ECETI. Did you come up with this yourself? Did you learn it from Dr. Stephen Greer, Bingham? Where did it come from?
Well, I think what you're referring to there, or what we're talking about, is CE5, which is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is where you initiate contact. This is something that I haven't been taught. It's something that there's no manual to. And there are people teaching it like Dr. Greer and James Gilliland and plus many other people as well. What I specialise in is doing it in a group setting, but then helping individuals being able to do it themselves through methods that work for them. So what works for me may not work for somebody else, but I know a large variety of methods to where I can hone in on how people operate, whether it's got to do with their third eye or sensations or thoughts. These are sort of the three keys on how this works. So meditating, putting out the thought to connect with beings that are in line with the awakening and healing process of humanity that we would like to have a group contact setting with and learn about each other. And so it's something that I've learnt my own way, but meeting others in the field and through the extraterrestrials themselves, I've been able to fine tune it over the many years that I've now been doing it.
So if we're to assume that these objects, these unidentified flying objects in the skies are not one of ours, then what the heck are they? Where are they coming from? Are they drones from an extraterrestrial civilization, or what's going on here, Peter?
Look, it's a little bit of all the above. Sometimes they'll send out these plasma orbs or even more of a metallic physical type device from the craft to go and scout areas, check areas out. So there is some of them where they're like drones or droids from another civilization elsewhere. Some of them are beings in their Merkaba, which is their light field. So we may see a weird type object in the sky, but sometimes it's just a being in its light field. And how this operates is they break down to an electron, which is a negative charged subatomic particle, and because all electrons have a symbiotic relationship, they pop up another electron. So because all the electrons are connected, they break down to one electron, and through thought and intention, they pop out an electron in that space and time, although that's all an illusion because they understand that, and from there they re-manifest. Some of these crafts are motherships with smaller crafts on them. They come in all shapes and sizes, so it's a very broad spectrum of what these things are. It's not just one answer to cover it all.
Appreciate it, Peter, and you keep your eyes on the skies over there and have that camera ready, because we want to see more of your incredible videos. Now, I want to tell everybody right here at Third Phase of Moon, make sure you take a look at Peter Maxwell Slattery's website. We're going to be supplying the original links below. And as for you, you guys keep your eyes on the skies. We're not alone, and we'll see you again next time.